119,754 Bitcoin. Customer accounts dropped at once, and the loss sat there in plain view for years. If the blockchain could still show the coins, how did nobody close a hand around them? Inside Bitfinex, a Hong Kong-based cryptocurrency exchange trusted by thousands of traders, the weakness sat in the wallet architecture. BitGo was part of the multisignature setup, and someone found the opening before anyone on the exchange side could shut it. Then the movement started. Withdrawals fired off immediately, fast enough that the theft was already underway while everyone else was still trying to understand the breach. The coins were leaving. Bitfinex froze trading. Balances were gone, access tightened, and users who expected cryptocurrency got something colder instead. The exchange called them BFX tokens, debt, handed back as a promise. But the strangest part came after. The stolen Bitcoin did not slip into darkness. On the blockchain, the funds still sat in attacker-controlled addresses, visible to anyone willing to look long enough. So why were they still there? Visibility did not help for long. The coins began hopping through long wallet chains, one address feeding another until the public record stopped feeling like clarity and started feeling like a maze with no center. Anyone could watch. That was not the same as catching up. By 2017, the number had changed shape. As Bitcoin surged through 2017 to 2021, the old theft kept inflating in silence, each missed year making the untouched pile harder to ignore and harder to imagine recovering. The stakes kept climbing. Across the trail, the pattern got denser. Authorities alleged shell accounts, fake identities, mixers, cryptocurrency exchanges, and prepaid cards were all used to keep the Bitcoin moving through a layered network without letting it cleanly disappear. This did not look improvised. It looked maintained. Ordinary Bitfinex customers were left holding debt tokens. Their balances had vanished from their accounts, and full access did not come back in the same form it left. For them, the theft was not abstract. It was the number that no longer opened. Deeper in the trail, darker names appeared. Investigators connected portions of the Bitcoin to Alphabet and Hydra, two stops that made the path feel less like drift and more like deliberate routing through places built to blur a source. Transit points. Or partners? Heather Morgan. Online, she presented herself as a startup founder, business writer, entrepreneur, and self-described marketing expert. Looked like she belonged to another world. The images were polished, the branding tidy, the posture familiar. A public face built for business, not for a trail of stolen Bitcoin. Then the second identity stepped in. Morgan called herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. A label so theatrical, it pushed the story further off balance just as her name moved closer to it. Camouflage? Or coincidence? Razzlecon kept performing. The music video imagery was surreal, loud, almost comic, and it pushed Heather Morgan even farther from the picture people expected to see beside years of laundering allegations. Too public. Or the perfect place to hide. February 2022, New York. Federal agents moved in, and the distance between shell accounts, wallet trails, and two real apartment doors suddenly disappeared. Ilya Lichtenstein, Heather Morgan, in custody. Inside cloud storage, the trail stopped wandering. Investigators opened files linked to Lichtenstein and found wallet credentials and private keys associated with the stolen Bitcoin, the kind of material that did not point outward toward rumor, but inward toward control. The mystery narrowed. Then the U.S. Department of Justice went public. It said more than 94,000 Bitcoin connected to the hack had been recovered, a number so large it made the theft feel less buried than frozen in place. Not gone, held. Gift cards, electronics, online services, ride-sharing, gaming-related purchases. The alleged endpoints sounded routine, almost dull, until the scale behind them returned, and those ordinary items started to feel warped. A billion-dollar trail ending in checkout screens. But another question stayed alive. Many cybercrime analysts looked at the original exploit, its scale, its sophistication, and saw room for additional collaborators beyond the couple already in view. Visible names. Incomplete picture. Prosecutors described a years-long operation. Hidden identities, obfuscation techniques, darknet markets, and thousands of transactions stacked on top of each other until the movement of Bitcoin started to resemble a machine built to keep its center out of sight. The shape was there. The driver was not. Inside that picture, one role stood closer to the controls. Prosecutors said Liechtenstein appeared more technically involved, a quieter detail that shifted the weight of the operation without changing the fact that both names were now attached to it. The balance tilted. Morgan pushed back through her defense. Her legal team argued she had a smaller role and was not the technical mastermind behind the operation, drawing a line between presence and authorship. A participant, but not the engineer. In court, the mystery gave up ground. Both defendants pleaded guilty to conspiracy to launder money, and years of online movement, hidden wallets, and public performance hardened into courtroom fact. No alias helped there. Then the biggest answer arrived. Liechtenstein pleaded guilty and admitted involvement in the original Bitfinex hack, closing the longest open loop in a case that had started with 119,754 Bitcoin sitting in plain sight. The visible pile had an owner. So that was the twist. 119,754 Bitcoin had not led back to a faceless phantom. It led to a couple whose public image looked almost absurdly ordinary, right up until the records, the arrests, and the pleas made that ordinary surface collapse. The scale stayed enormous. The ending got personal.